Hello and welcome to an North Wales side-by-side video. I'm going to touch on Ford EcoBoost engines again tonight, and we're going to go through the letter that all Ford dealerships should now have received, which explains how to go about putting a claim in for a 1 litre EcoBoost that's blown up, and all the criteria attached to putting a claim in with CRC, which is Ford's sort of warranty department. I've got email addresses, I've got phone number, everything is included in the letter, but this was a letter sent to dealerships. I've got a copy of it, so I'm going to share it with you, and we'll go through it bit by bit. Right. Let's have a look at the letter now and see what it says. Well, what we've got up on the screen here is the letter that all Ford dealerships should now have been sent. It's an action notice to dealer principals, sales managers and admin, dated June the 3rd, 2024. And it's EcoBoost wet belt goodwill support. It's not a warranty recall. This is a goodwill gesture on Ford's part. So what that means is, if you manage to get Ford to fix your car and it fails again, they will have said, no, we did you a goodwill and that job is not covered. You're on your own, even though they've done the job. If it blows up a second time, they won't help you a second time. So let's just run through the letter. Let's start with points of clarity. We all know about the North American recall, which affected the 1 litre EcoBoost engines with a certain automatic transmission, and they said it was the transmission was causing a vibration which was damaging the tensioner on the oil pump belt. It's a load of codswallop. It was just an excuse and a way of getting as few cars into the warranty recall as they could possibly get away with. That's my thoughts on the American recall. Then we get to the transit wet belt service change schedule for the 2 litre EcoBlue diesel engines. That was meant to be a 10-year belt life, 150,000 miles. They've reduced that to 6 years or 100,000 miles. Now, in the description of this video, I'm going to link to Jeff Buys Cars videos where he's in contact with a lady who runs a business who run only Fords. And they've got Ford Transits with this engine in, the 2 litre EcoBlue, that haven't even reached 100,000 miles, and they've failed. You need to watch both videos. Very, very interesting videos where Jeff is talking to the lady who owns the business, and she tells what's going on from her side, her dealings with Ford, and how they've treated her. And it's quite disgusting when you realise this lady, over a 40-year period that the business has been going, they've spent millions and millions of pounds on nothing but Ford vehicles. And this is how Ford are treating customers. Atrociously. Let's get on to the 1 litre now, where it says EcoBoost Fox Classic, because they call the engine the Fox. This is a goodwill gesture for pre-2019 manufactured engines. And there's quite a few points I want to make as we read through. It says, going forward, Ford will provide a goodwill support to customers with EcoBoost Fox Classic pre-2019 manufactured engines up to 10 years old with a full service history and less than 150,000 miles, provided the below requirements are met. And they've pointed out about 6 bullet points. So we'll go through these one at a time. The first bullet point is vehicle engine concern only relating to wet belt timing. Now, I read that as saying it has to be a wet belt issue that causes the failure, which we know with an EcoBoost, that is going to be the failure point. A belt that's broken down, either stripped its teeth or it's blocked the oil pump pickup and starved the engine of oil. So, okay, we'll let them get away with that one. Then they go, vehicle cases up to 10 years old with a full service history of less than 150,000 miles driven. There's no way an EcoBoost will ever do 150,000 miles. Nothing, no way will one ever get that far on its original belts. It's not happening. So all these vehicles hopefully are going to be lower mileage than that. But the critical point there is full service history. That's bullet point 2. Then they go on to bullet point 3, which is full service history documentation. And it says, in accordance with the vehicle service portfolio. Well, we all know what a vehicle service portfolio is. Say your car's got a 10,000 mile service interval. It goes in, the vehicle's checked, oil filter, oil, maybe a pollen filter, brakes are checked. Then it goes in at 20, they do an air filter, oil, cabin filter, maybe change the brake fluid, change the coolant, and that's the service schedule for that vehicle. Then it goes back in at 30 and it'll go, and they'll do the 10,000 mile service again, and on it goes. Minor service, major service, that's what they're looking for there. But they go on to say it can either be from Ford authorised repairers, meaning a dealership, or a mix of Ford and independent garages, or from an independent garage, which means you don't have to take your car to a Ford dealership to get it serviced. But where you've got to be careful here is your documentation. You have to make sure that the correct oil has been used in that car at the independent garage. And this is going to be the get-out clause for Ford. If your dealerships or your independent garage has only written on it 030 or 020 oil and hasn't put the specifications for the oil on the receipt, Ford will use that as a get-out clause. I guarantee it. The next one is understandable. They don't want cars going over service intervals. So if your car's due a service in January, you can be early. You can say like October. That's 3 months prior. Or you could take the car in March. Even though it was due in January, it's still in that plus or minus 3 months of due date. So that's understandable. That's a 6 month window. 3 either way. They're also stating vehicles with full service history, but missing a service in 2020, and we all know what happened in 2020. We had our pandemic. They will also be included in this goodwill gesture. Now, they've used that as a get-out clause for lots and lots of people up to date, where people didn't get their cars serviced in 2020. So there's lots of people out there now that have scrapped their cars because Ford wouldn't do the goodwill and wouldn't repair their cars for them because they missed that one service in 2020. Now, this one surprises me. Do not need to provide history of lubricants used in the vehicle service. Now, I wasn't expecting to find that. So, basically what they're saying, you could have thrown any oil in that engine. Yeah, that one doesn't make sense to me. I would have thought they'd have wanted the recommended oil fitted, but they have said do not need to provide history of lubricants used in the vehicle service. Fair enough. And the next one is where all these criteria are met. This is for the dealer now. It says CRC, which I'm assuming is the department that are dealing with this goodwill gesture. All claims must be handled by the CRC team through their central CLP budget. Right, I missed a little bit of information off there. I forgot to say, at the bottom of all the bullet points, where above criteria are met, the CRC will support 100% of repair cost. That's important. That's if everything in the criteria is met. But it's a goodwill gesture. You've got to remember, it's goodwill, not warranty. So if you have another problem with that repair, you've got no warranty on that repair. Ford will throw it back in your face and say, we did that as goodwill. Right. The bottom of the letter now. It says, for any customers in the UK whose vehicles meet these parameters, the criteria of all the bullet points, the dealer, because this letter is a dealer letter, is requested to speak to our CRC dealer team on behalf of the customer. Or it says on the customer's behalf. There's a telephone number here. I'll highlight the telephone number. I'll highlight the email address as well if put in the letter. So we've got a phone number of 03457 222 123. That's the phone number the dealer has to phone. Or their email direct is dlrcrc@ford.com. But Ford also have a dealer live chat system on their network. So they've got 3 ways of getting in touch with this CRC group. It also says your customer can speak to our customer relations team and contact details can be found on our website. And the website is www.ford.co.uk/help/general/contact us. So there are all the contact details. And it says right at the bottom of the letter, customers who have previously contacted CRC and had support refused. It says customers can rearrange with CRC. So it looks like they will look at previous claims that have been refused. On the one criteria, the customer is still the registered keeper of the vehicle. So that is basically Ford's goodwill letter explaining to dealerships what they've got to do to even consider a claim. So I hope you've read the letter now, and I hope you've got a grasp of what's going on. And thank you for listening to what is rather a long video, but I think it's quite an important video to get out there for the people with these EcoBoost engines who are having problems. Anyway, once again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching the video. Please consider liking. Please consider subscribing.